Jax Carter wiped his hands on a greasy rag and squinted at the engine console in front of him. Sparks danced across the wires as the starship shuddered violently, groaning like a wounded animal. It was another busy day at the Oran spaceport, and Jax's little workshop was packed with ships in various stages of repair. Some were sleek passenger shuttles, others bulky cargo haulers, and a few were military-grade vessels that no human was supposed to touch, but humans always found a way. Jax had always believed in one simple rule: if it moves, a human can fix it, even if it's alien. He muttered under his breath, "Come on, you stubborn piece of junk," and yanked a broken coolant pipe free. The engine hissed in protest, sending a small burst of steam across the floor. Jax jumped back, narrowly avoiding a searing burn. "You're lucky I know how to handle this," he said, smirking. "Most guys would have melted themselves trying." Before he could reconnect the pipe, the workshop doors slid open with a hiss. Jax looked up and froze. Standing there was a woman, not just any woman. Her armor gleamed under the lights, a mix of dark metals and glowing sigils he didn't recognize. Her skin was a deep violet, her eyes sharp and intelligent, and her hair shimmered like silver threads in the air. She carried herself with a calm, almost dangerous confidence that made the busy spaceport suddenly feel small and insignificant. Jax blinked. Hi." The woman tilted her head. "Do you repair starships?" she asked, her voice melodic but firm. Yeah," Jax said. "I can fix most engines. You got a problem." Her ship sat outside, looking every bit as advanced and mysterious as she was. Smoke puffed from the rear thrusters, and the hull had strange scratches that glowed faintly. Jax whistled. "Wow, that's a serious problem," he said. "You're lucky I'm in the mood to deal with a tough one today." The woman studied him silently, and then something strange happened. She moved closer. Jax instinctively held out his fist. "Fist bump?" he asked, grinning. She blinked at him. "Fist bump." "Yeah, like a greeting," Jax explained, bumping his fist gently against hers. "No handshakes in space. Too messy, too many germs. Fist bump works." The woman froze. For a moment the workshop seemed to shrink, and every other mechanic, trader, and alien in the spaceport faded from view. Then she stepped back, her expression unreadable. "I see," she said carefully. Jax, oblivious to the weight of the gesture, shrugged. "Anyway, let's see what's wrong with your ship." He walked toward the ship and began inspecting the engine. The problem was complicated. The energy matrix was unstable, the coolant system damaged, and a rare alien tech component was jammed beyond normal repair. Jax's hands moved quickly, almost like they had minds of their own. He rewired circuits, patched leaks, and applied makeshift tools in ways no standard procedure would recommend. Sparks flew, metal hissed, and for a moment the engine groaned like it was alive. "Whoa, she's feisty," Jax muttered. The woman watched him, arms crossed, silent but observant. Every move Jax made seemed reckless, but somehow it worked. "Okay, almost there," he said. "Just need to replace this module and you're good to go." He reached for a panel and froze. The part he needed wasn't in his workshop, not even close. "All right," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "We'll improvise." Improvisation was Jax's specialty. Using a combination of spare parts, duct tape, and quick thinking, he managed to reroute the energy flow. The engine hummed steadily, no sparks, no smoke, no danger. He stepped back and wiped his hands. "There, good as new." The woman's eyes widened. "You fixed it." "Yup, no big deal," Jax said casually. "Honestly, your ship is just stubborn, but she listens to me." For a moment the alien woman's face softened. "Most mechanics fail or get themselves killed." "Not me," Jax said with a grin. "I like living, and I like fixing impossible things." She seemed to consider this, then nodded slightly. "You are unusual for a human," Jax chuckled. "Thanks, I think." A sudden beep came from the ship's control panel. The engine roared to life. Jax stepped back as the ship lifted slightly off the ground. It was ready to fly. The woman moved toward her ship. "You have done well," she said. Her voice carried authority, though it was tinged with something almost like amusement. Jax grinned. "Just doing my job. Name's Jax Carter, by the way. Human, not great at politics, amazing at engines." "I am Elara," she said. "You will remember that name." Jax blinked. "Elara, got it. Cool name. You leaving now?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but your methods are intriguing." Jax shrugged. "Intriguing is my middle name." "Well, not really, it's just Jax, but let's go with that." She paused for a moment, as if measuring the weight of the universe in his casual grin. Then she turned and walked to her ship. The engines roared to life again, this time with a smooth, powerful sound that made the workshop floor vibrate. "Hey," Jax called out. "Come back and pay me later." Elara tilted her head and gave him a brief, almost imperceptible smile. Then the ship lifted into the air and streaked out of the spaceport like a comet. Jax scratched his head and laughed. "Well, that was different. Couldn't tell if she was impressed or planning to vaporize me." He turned back to his workbench, ready to finish the repairs on the other ships, but something in his chest felt different. Something big had just happened, and he didn't even realize it. Over the next few hours, whispers started spreading through the spaceport. Traders, pilots, and mechanics all talked about the human who had dared to touch the mysterious alien woman's hand. Some said it was bravery. Others called it foolishness. But everyone agreed on one thing: something unusual had just occurred. Jax, for his part, didn't care. He was already focused on the next engine, the next challenge, the next impossible problem to solve. But somewhere far away, in the silent corridors of alien politics, someone was paying very close attention. Elara returned to her private quarters on her ship. Alone, she touched the spot where Jax had bumped her fist. In her culture, that gesture was deeply symbolic, almost sacred. Only those truly courageous or recklessly confident could perform it without fear. And in that moment, she realized the human mechanic was unlike any being she had ever met. Her advisors had been skeptical, whispering about humans as primitive, unreliable, or untrustworthy. But this human, this one had done something no alien had dared. Something simple, almost childlike, yet powerful. She leaned back in her chair and stared at the stars outside. "He is different," she murmured. "Perhaps he is exactly what I need." Meanwhile, Jax returned to his cluttered workshop, completely unaware that a galactic queen had just marked him in a way that could change the course of his life and humanity itself. As the sun set over the orbiting city, he tightened a bolt on a small freighter engine, humming to himself. "Humans, gotta love 'em," he muttered, not realizing he was speaking to himself as much as anyone else. And in the distance, a shadow moved across the stars. Quiet, patient, watching. The game of the galaxy had just begun, and Jax Carter was now an unexpected player. Jax Carter had just finished repairing a freighter's damaged hyperdrive when a message flashed across his workstation. It was unlike any message he had ever received. No trade requests, no casual greetings from spaceport merchants. The screen displayed a seal he didn't recognize, an intricate symbol of swirling stars and strange glyphs. "Oh, what the hell is this?" he muttered, tapping the screen. The message read in formal script: "Jax Carter, your presence is requested at the Galactic Council. Immediate departure required." "Queen Elara," Jax blinked. "The Galactic Council, Queen Elara." He stared at the message for several long moments. Then he laughed. "Ha. Very funny, whoever's hacking me. Good one." But the message did not disappear. It remained, glowing ominously. Jax frowned. "Well, okay," he muttered. "Guess I'm going to the big leagues." Within an hour, he had packed his tool kit, strapped on his utility belt, and stepped into his modest ship, the Star Rigger. The engines purred under his touch, and he took off from the bustling Oran spaceport with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. His life, which had always revolved around fixing broken machines and avoiding trouble, was about to get complicated. The journey to the Galactic Council was longer than he expected. The Council's space station floated in the heart of a neutral star system, massive enough to house thousands of ships and representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. Its architecture was elegant, almost intimidating, towers of glass and metal twisted toward the stars, and energy fields shimmered like liquid light. As Jax approached, his ship was scanned, examined, and finally allowed to dock. Guards, tall, armored aliens with multifaceted eyes, stood silently as he stepped out. He gave them a casual nod. "Don't freak out," he whispered to himself. "It's just aliens. Big, scary aliens, but still aliens." He walked down the polished corridor toward a chamber where representatives of multiple species gathered. Humming consoles, holographic displays, and floating drones filled the room, and at the center of it all, Queen Elara. She was even more impressive up close. Her violet skin glowed faintly under the chamber lights, her silver-threaded hair shimmered, and her armor radiated subtle energy waves. Every alien in the room seemed to bend slightly toward her presence, though no one dared approach without permission. And then she looked at him. Jax froze. Their eyes met, and in that instant he felt like he was staring at something bigger than the universe itself. "You are late," she said, her voice calm but sharp, "but I am glad you came." Yeah." "Traffic," Jax said, scratching the back of his neck. "You know, hyperspace jams, asteroid fields, spaceport inspections, the usual." Elara's eyes narrowed slightly. "You are casual for a human," Jax grinned. "I've been told that it's kinda our thing. Humans like to keep things simple, even when the universe is screaming at us to panic." Elara studied him quietly, then smiled faintly. It was a small gesture, but for Jax, it was enough to make his chest tighten. "You fixed my ship," she said. "No one else could have done it. Not even my engineers." "Yeah, well, your ship was kinda a mess," Jax said, "but I like a challenge, makes the job interesting." She tilted her head. "Interesting, yes, that is one word for it. You humans do not understand the rules, yet you often find a way around them." Jax shrugged. "Rules are like suggestions sometimes, especially when they're dumb." Her advisors whispered among themselves, exchanging concerned looks. Jax noticed the tension but didn't understand why. He was just being himself. "I wish more humans were here," Elara said softly, almost to herself. "Your species is underestimated, and yet they accomplish remarkable things." Jax raised an eyebrow. "Well, that's flattering, I think. I don't usually get compliments from aliens, though." "Usually it's more like, 'Stay out of our way, human.'" Elara's gaze hardened. "You have courage," she said, "and ingenuity, traits I value and traits that are rare in this chamber." The council murmured again. Some aliens whispered about how dangerous it was to honor a human. Others were skeptical, dismissive, but Elara ignored them. "Jax Carter," she continued, "I wish to invite you to assist me, not as a soldier nor as a diplomat, but as a human observer, someone who sees things differently, someone who thinks freely." Jax blinked. "Wait, you want me to, what exactly?" "Observe, advise, and sometimes act. Your perspective may prove valuable." Jax ran a hand through his hair. "Oh wow, that's a lot. I usually just fix engines, not deal with galaxy politics." "Politics," Elara said, "is often more dangerous than any battlefield, and yet you may survive it where others fail." The tension in the room increased. Some council members whispered openly, questioning why a human had been invited into the council chamber. One delegate, a tall reptilian alien with multiple eyes, hissed under his breath. "She's gone mad," it muttered. "A human has no place here." Jax tilted his head. "I don't know what's going on half the time, but I think I like this job already." Elara's smile was faint but approving. "Your honesty is rare. You will need it." Over the next few hours, Jax was introduced to various council members. Some were terrifying, their tentacles writhing with subtle threats. Others were elegant, with crystalline skin that shimmered in every color imaginable. They all seemed to expect him to fail, and perhaps some hoped he would. But Jax didn't care. He listened, asked questions, and offered simple, human solutions to complex problems. Sometimes it was improvisation. Sometimes it was plain common sense. Every time he proved that humans could think differently, often seeing what alien minds overlooked. You see, he said during one debate about a supply chain problem, if you route the energy flow through this node instead of that one, it keeps the engine stable without overloading the matrix. It's not perfect, but it works. The council gasped. Several members argued, their voices high and urgent, but Elara nodded. He is correct. Sometimes simplicity wins where complexity fails. Whispers spread across the chamber. A human correct. A human solving problems that alien engineers could not. Some were incredulous. Some were angry. Some were quietly impressed. By the end of the day, Jax was exhausted. He had navigated alien etiquette, offered solutions, and survived the judging eyes of dozens of species. But the most important moment was yet to come. Elara pulled him aside into her private chambers. The room was quiet, filled with soft lights that reflected off her armor and the walls. "You have potential," she said. "Most humans I have encountered are reckless or naive. You are different. You think. You act. You survive." Jax shrugged. I just fix stuff and try not to blow up." Elara's lips curved into a faint smile. "You may be the unexpected strength I need. The galaxy is dangerous. Not just enemies outside, but enemies within the Council. Some do not wish for humans to be valued." Jax frowned. "Enemies within? You mean like spies or traitors?" "Exactly," she said. "And soon their plans will reach fruition. I cannot stop them alone. You may be able to help." Jax felt a mixture of fear and excitement. His life had always been about engines, repairs, and keeping out of trouble. Now it was about politics, strategy, and survival on a galactic scale. "All right," he said finally. "I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess I'm in, for better or worse." Elara extended her hand, this time without hesitation. Jax smiled and returned the gesture with a proper fist bump. No mistakes this time. "You are brave," she said, "and perhaps the galaxy needs your kind of bravery." As he left the chamber, Jax couldn't help but feel a strange pride. For once, being human, reckless, unpredictable, and bold was not a disadvantage. It was a strength. But somewhere in the shadows of the council, voices whispered. They did not approve of a human influencing the queen. They did not trust the simplicity of his mind. And they were already plotting. Jax Carter, the humble human mechanic, had no idea he had just stepped onto a stage much larger than any starport or engine bay. The game of galactic intrigue had begun, and he was now a player. And the universe was about to notice. The corridors of the Galactic Council Station were alive with movement, buzzing with energy, and filled with the silent tension of politicians, soldiers, and advisors. Jax Carter, human mechanic and now the Queen's unexpected advisor, walked alongside Queen Elara, feeling completely out of place. His boots echoed against the polished floor, and he kept glancing at panels and devices that humans had no names for. "You don't need to look at everything," Elara said, noticing his curiosity. "The station is secure, but I see you notice details that others miss." Jax shrugged. "Old habit. If something moves, I want to know why, and if it's broken, I fix it. Can't help myself." Elara tilted her head, a faint smile on her lips. "Your perspective is unusual. That is why I brought you here." Their destination was a conference room overlooking the starry void outside. Holograms flickered in the air, showing multiple star systems and their trade routes. Most were peaceful, but one caught Jax's attention immediately. A border system under threat from a rogue alien fleet, the Zelari. "They've been attacking supply convoys," Elara explained. "Our standard forces cannot respond quickly enough. I need eyes that see what others do not and hands that can act with speed." Jax whistled softly. "So, you want me to fly into danger?" Elara's violet eyes glinted. "I want you to be human, observe, improvise, and survive. Your skills may turn the tide. Jax rubbed his neck. Well, all right then. Guess I better get my tools ready. The journey to the Zelari border was tense. The Star Rigger carried Jax, Elara, and a small contingent of elite soldiers. Despite the advanced technology around him, Jax found himself tinkering constantly, adjusting energy conduits, rechecking weapon alignment, and modifying the shields. His hands moved like second nature, and soon, the ship hummed with efficiency that surprised even the alien crew. "You trust a human with this," one soldier hissed, eyes wide. Elara's gaze was steady. "I trust the one who fixed my ship when all others failed." The first encounter with the Zelari fleet was chaos. Alien warships, jagged and dark, darted through the void, firing plasma cannons with deadly precision. The Star Rigger shuddered under the first barrage. Shields flickered. Systems beeped warnings. Jax leaped into action. "All right, let's see what we've got." He ran to the control panels, fingers dancing over unfamiliar buttons. Alien engineers around him shouted incomprehensible commands, but Jax ignored them. He rewired circuits on the fly, rerouted power from non-essential systems to weapons and shields, and even jerry-rigged a makeshift missile guidance system using components that weren't meant to work together. "Is he insane?" one officer muttered. "No," Elara said quietly. "He is human." The ship surged forward, dodging an incoming missile with a maneuver no alien pilot would attempt. Jax grinned. "You can't teach that in school." The Zelari ships fired again, but Jax had anticipated their movement patterns. Using the modified guidance system, the Star Rigger counterattacked, taking down 2 enemy vessels with precision strikes. The alien crew gasped. They had never seen such unpredictable tactics before. Elara's voice came over the intercom. "Your improvisation, it works." "Keep going," Jax chuckled, wiping sweat from his brow. "Glad you like it. Humans always find a way." As the battle continued, Jax noticed a weakness in the Zelari formation. Their ships relied on synchronized energy pulses for shields. They were predictable in their coordination, assuming no one could react fast enough to exploit it. "Hey," Jax shouted. "Elara, hit them when their pulses overlap. Their shields will be weak for a moment." The Queen nodded. "Do it." Jax directed the Star Rigger and allied ships to target the vulnerable points. One by one, Zelari vessels fell, unable to defend against the sudden human-inspired tactic. Even the seasoned alien soldiers were stunned. "You think differently," Elara said quietly to herself. "Humans are dangerous in ways we cannot predict." Jax wiped his hands on his uniform and looked at the Queen. "Dangerous? Nah, I'd just call it clever." The mission was far from over. As the fleet advanced deeper into the border system, Zelari reinforcements arrived, larger and more aggressive. One massive warship, its hull jagged and bristling with weapons, cut through the void like a predator. "Jax, I need you on the weapon systems," Elara said urgently. "They will overwhelm us if we do not act quickly." "Copy that," he said, running to the control console. "All right, let's make some magic happen." Jax worked feverishly, rerouting energy, recalibrating lasers, and even creating makeshift decoys from spare parts. Every move was unconventional, risky, and brilliant. The alien officers watched in disbelief as his human logic solved problems in ways their structured training could not. "Humans are impossible," one officer muttered. "Exactly," Jax said with a grin, activating a final series of modifications. The Star Rigger fired a precise volley of plasma beams and missiles, targeting the enemy warship's weak points. The massive vessel shuddered and exploded in a brilliant flash, debris scattering across the void. Silence followed for a moment, broken only by the hum of the Star Rigger's engines. Jax leaned back, breathing heavily, and smiled. "Not bad for a day's work, huh?" he said. Elara's eyes gleamed with admiration. "You are extraordinary. The Council will notice this and they may not approve." Jax shrugged. "Let them notice. Humans tend to surprise. After the battle, the Queen held a private debriefing with Jax. The alien advisors were uneasy, whispering about the reckless human who had saved the fleet, but Elara only focused on him. "You have proven something important today," she said. "Human intuition, ingenuity, and courage, traits we undervalue, have saved lives." "I now see clearly, humans are vital," Jax rubbed his jaw. "I just did what I do, fix, think fast, and survive. Sounds like everyone should try it." Elara's smile was small but sincere. "You are unlike any human I have met. Others are cautious, hesitant, or predictable. But you are extraordinary." Jax felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time, being human, bold, reckless, and clever felt like a true strength, something to be proud of. But not everyone was impressed. Across the council, whispers grew louder. Some members were furious. "How dare a human dictate terms to the Queen?" they hissed. "How dare we allow a species so primitive to influence decisions?" Jax remained blissfully unaware of the plotting, focused instead on cleaning up his workstation and tinkering with some leftover components. Meanwhile, Elara looked out at the stars, thoughtful. "He is unpredictable, he is brave, and the galaxy may need humans more than we have imagined." Jax paused, looking at the Queen. "You know, for someone who rules an empire, you smile too little." Elara raised an eyebrow. "And you speak too much," he grinned. "Fair enough, but humans, we have a lot to offer, you'll see." Outside the council chamber, the shadow of rival factions moved quietly. They plotted, whispered, and planned. They could not ignore the human who had saved fleets with nothing but brains, courage, and quick thinking. Jax Carter had just proven one undeniable truth. Humans were dangerous. Dangerous because no one could predict them, and even more dangerous because they could succeed where the most advanced aliens failed. And the universe was about to take notice. The corridors of the Galactic Council Station were unusually quiet. Jax Carter, human mechanic and now the Queen's trusted companion, walked alongside Queen Elara with a mixture of excitement and unease. Something was wrong. The usual hum of activity was replaced by hushed whispers and hurried footsteps. Guards moved with tense precision, their eyes scanning every shadow. "Something's happening," Jax said, his hands twitching toward his toolkit. "Feels like trouble." Elara's violet eyes were sharp. "You are correct. A coup is underway. Some council factions do not wish for humans to influence me. They see you as a threat." Jax raised an eyebrow. "Me, a threat? I just fix stuff and sometimes save ships." Elara gave a faint, almost amused smile. "Precisely. They underestimate you, but your unpredictability makes you dangerous." Jax swallowed. "All right, what do we do?" "Survive," she said, "and ensure the council sees that humans are indispensable." The first signs of the coup were sudden. Alarms blared throughout the station as armed forces loyal to rival factions stormed corridors. Alien soldiers with advanced weaponry and deadly coordination moved with purpose: capture the Queen and eliminate her human companion. Jax's instincts kicked in. "All right, so we're under attack. Good. Just like old times, except a lot bigger." Elara led him to a secure command chamber. Holograms flickered with information about the intruders. Their numbers were overwhelming. Yet Jax noticed patterns others did not. Their movements were predictable, overly organized, relying on repetition and assumptions that no human mind would follow. "See that?" he said, pointing at the hologram. "They're expecting straight lines, basic formations." "We can use that," Elara nodded. "Then show me, human." Jax quickly devised a plan. Using his knowledge of mechanics, improvisation, and sheer instinct, he began modifying the chamber's defenses. Drones were rerouted, energy barriers reinforced, and even the station's environmental systems, normally automated, were temporarily hacked to create confusion among the intruders. "Not bad," he muttered. "Now, let's give them a surprise they won't forget." The first wave of attackers broke into the chamber. They were met with a combination of human ingenuity and quick thinking. Automated turrets aimed precisely, drones swooped unpredictably, and doors sealed and opened in unexpected sequences. Jax directed the actions like a conductor, his voice calm and clear. Left flank reroute power to the plasma shutters. Right flank overload their sensors. The attackers faltered, unprepared for the chaotic but highly effective defense. Every move Jax made turned their structured strategy into chaos. Alien officers were shocked. "How is this human surviving?" one muttered. Elara's eyes shone with pride. "Because he is human, and humans think in ways we cannot predict," Jax grinned. "Exactly. Humans always find a way." As the battle raged on, the Queen's safety became paramount. Jax created improvised escape routes, using maintenance shafts and gravity lifts to move quickly through the station. At one point, a squad of attackers cornered them. Jax didn't hesitate. "Trust me," he shouted. He grabbed a nearby console, rewired it in seconds, and sent a surge of energy down the hall. Lights flickered, weapons jammed, and the attackers were forced back. Elara's voice was calm but firm. "Your bravery saves lives. Continue," Jax chuckled. "Wouldn't have it any other way." They moved through the station, encountering squads of elite soldiers. Each time, Jax's quick thinking turned potential disaster into victory. He improvised traps from energy conduits, rerouted defensive lasers to block corridors, and even created holographic decoys that confused the attackers. Every success reinforced what Elara already knew: humans were invaluable. The final confrontation came in the Central Council chamber. Here, the leaders of the coup had gathered, expecting to capture the Queen and finish what they started. Their warships orbited outside, ready to strike if the station fell. Jax assessed the situation. "Okay, this is bad, but not impossible. We're going to need everything we've got." Elara's voice was steady. "Then show them what humans can do." With that, Jax sprang into action. He hacked the chamber's control systems, manipulating gravity fields to slow the attackers' movements. Energy barriers closed in unexpected sequences, cutting off their formations. And with a few quick modifications to the Council's defense turrets, he created firing angles the aliens had never seen. "Surprise!" Jax shouted, activating the last of his modifications. Plasma beams and energy pulses struck precise points on the attacker's armor. Chaos erupted as their carefully planned coup collapsed under the unpredictable tactics of a human mechanic. Even the alien leaders were forced to retreat. They could not comprehend how a single human, using ingenuity and quick thinking, had turned the tide. When the dust settled, the chamber was quiet. The Queen stood, regal and calm, surveying the aftermath. Jax leaned against a console, breathing heavily but grinning. "You did it," Elara said softly. "You saved not only me but the Council itself. The galaxy owes you." Jax shrugged. Just another day at work, only a lot bigger than fixing engines." Elara's smile was small but genuine. "Your human perspective is invaluable. The Council has learned something today. Humans are not to be underestimated. They are clever, brave, and dangerous in ways we cannot control." Jax laughed. "Dangerous, huh? I like the sound of that." Word of Jax's action spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans, once considered primitive and weak, were now seen as uniquely capable. Stories circulated about the human mechanic who saved a galactic queen, outsmarted elite alien soldiers, and protected entire systems with nothing but brains, courage, and improvisation. Back on the Council station, Elara formally honored Jax in a public ceremony. She spoke to representatives from dozens of species, her voice clear and authoritative. "Today," she said, "we have seen the power of human ingenuity. One human with courage and quick thinking has changed the outcome of our galaxy. Let this be a lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated. They are vital allies, and their value is beyond measure." Jax stood beside her, fist raised in the universal human gesture of solidarity. And this time, Elara returned the gesture knowingly, acknowledging the bond they shared. The crowd was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Aliens of every shape, size, and color looked at humans differently. Respect replaced skepticism, awe replaced doubt. Humans had proven themselves, but for Jax the moment was simple. He looked at Elara and said, "You know, for all that fancy armor and royal talk, you're not so bad yourself." Elara raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in her eyes. "And you are reckless and infuriating, yet effective. I see now why humans are so remarkable," Jax laughed. "Guess we're full of surprises." Elara nodded. "Indeed, and the galaxy has only begun to see what humans can do." In the weeks that followed, Jax returned to his workshop, but life was never the same. Ships now arrived from across the galaxy, seeking his skill, his insight, and his human ingenuity. But he never forgot the battles, the chaos, and the trust placed in him by Queen Elara. Humans had proven one undeniable truth: cleverness, courage, and unpredictability could shape the galaxy in ways no alien race could foresee. One human mechanic, with nothing but determination and a knack for problem-solving, had altered the course of history. And as Jax leaned against a workbench, wiping grease from his hands and looking at the stars, he knew one thing for certain. The universe had just discovered that humans were not just survivors, they were extraordinary. Human mechanic fist bumped the alien woman, without knowing she was the new galactic queen.